it's upsetting to people when you say things like a lot of what we've learned is not true, and history is effectively propaganda. It's a version of the story, but it's not the whole story. Things like that, which I think are self-evidently true, but that is not well received sometimes.
Well, I think you have to know your audience a little bit, right? Know your audience here and there, know your moments to hit it. But I have a lot of like-minded people around me, but I'm totally fine if they're not. I love learning. And if I change my mind, it means I learned something. So I also like spending time with people and listening to people talk about something that's a totally different perspective. But I'd say in general, most of the people around me are of a like mind. They're also skeptical.
Have you been attacked? You said you were attacked online.
Yeah, well, I was super surprised by how it went when I went to the Turning Point event and when I talked about loving my country and posting these pictures. And I went with my sister, and it was just a fun few days. And I was just really surprised that people could be so angry about. And I didn't even make a stance. I think everybody thinks it's basically a Trump rally.
Right. What is it about Trump that? I mean, I understand what it is about Trump that people don't like, obviously. I get it. I know Trump and I like Trump. I think he's hilarious and interesting. But I certainly understand why people don't like him, for sure. It's very obvious. But what I don't understand is the hysteria and the brain shutting down and doing the opposite just for the sake of giving the finger to Trump. Like, I don't get that.
So triggered.
What is that?
Just people are very triggered.
But why? What is it about?
Well, foundational. I think there are foundational things to our life: politics, religion. These are foundational to our reality and what we've built our life on. And when you pull one of those out from the foundation, this is my opinion, but I think that what happens is there's an implied subconscious understanding that when you pull out one of those building blocks, that it's going to be a snowball effect for the rest of your life. Like if you pull out one of those foundational elements, what else isn't true?
No, it's true.
What else about your life isn't going to work anymore? And that is a global life change to pull something foundational out.
I didn't expect you to be the smartest professional athlete. No, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't. That's a very wise point. And I saw this with the vax. You know, the people I knew who really thought about it or had strong feelings about the vax, especially the ones who didn't want to take it, wound up in places they never expected to be. Yeah. Their views on a lot of other things changed. I saw a lot of people whose politics completely changed just on that one issue.
Yeah, very much.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a very divisive thing.
Yeah.
It just got so insanely divisive. And I think also kind of made things more confusing in a way that you'd think these people do these things and these people do those things. Yes. It was like it went from being like the group that was my body, my choice were the ones that were like, you got to do it. And then, so it got like, it really actually made the corruption or the propaganda or the manipulation that was going on to become more obvious because things started to get very messy, right? Did you feel
like immediate?
Yeah, you're like, but this doesn't make sense. We're missing
all of a sudden I was having conversations with people who, you know, were lifelong liberals or a lot of black people who never voted Republican in their lives, big Obama supporters, and all of a sudden I just realized, wait, we have a lot in common, actually.
Yeah.
You know, and then on the other side, people I'd been really close to and loved and still love, but they were absolutely on the other side of it.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was a realignment that was not along party lines at all.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, at all.
Exactly. And I think it really showed how persuasive media propaganda and isolation can be.
Yeah.
It can, I mean, one of the things that can drive, like I think they've done back in the 50s and 60s, we're testing out things like sensory deprivation when you are put in a space with no sound, no visuals, no nothing, and that will drive people insane. So now you do it on some level, and you put people in a house, they can't see anyone, they can't do it, and you're going to drive them insane.
So when did you start thinking about politics?
About 5 minutes ago.
What have you concluded?
It's so new to me, and I think I think we're at a really interesting point in time in this next year with this next election.
Can I ask, did you not ever talk about it when you were racing?
No. Oh, do you want to hear an athlete talk about politics or religion?
Yeah, kind of.
Do you?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It depends on the athlete.
I suppose. I mean, you probably would appreciate the politics more for sure, being that's your world and what you've...
But are people, they don't talk about it?
No, you're not really. And, well, I mean, where I came from, NASCAR, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody really very liberal or a Democrat in the whole garage.
Yeah, I bet that's right.
It's very Republican, very conservative.
Yes.
And it didn't make me like that. That's kind of the way I am anyway.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've lived my lifestyle in a much more, I don't know, casual way where I kind of think people should be able to get married if they want to get married.
Right.
If they don't want to have a baby, they, I mean, I believe that people should be able to choose their life path.
Yes.
And so those are kind of more liberal thoughts, but I also think the country should be kind of run a little bit more like a business. And, if we're all handing our money over, like, let's make this do good things with the country. So I suppose I have more conservative approaches to, how things should be run. But I've never really gotten interested because I didn't have time, space, energy. It didn't feel like it mattered to me. But now I'm at this point where it's kind of coming at me. I mean, I'm sitting here with you.
Yeah, I'm still baffled. Yeah. You may have come to the obvious conclusion that the real debate is not between Republican and Democrat or socialist and capitalist, right and left. The real battle is between people who are lying on purpose and people who are trying to tell you the truth. It's between good and evil. It's between honesty and falsehood. And we hope we are on the former side. That's why we created this network, the Tucker Carlson Network. And we invite you to subscribe to it. You go to tuckercarlson.com/podcast. Our entire archive is there. A lot of behind the scenes footage of what actually happens in this barn when only an iPhone is running. tuckercarlson.com/podcast. You will not regret it. And, so how is it coming at you? What do you mean?
I don't know. Just opportunities are presenting themselves. And my interest has really peaked maybe in the last 6 months or so. And so maybe it's my own sort of magneticism to it because I'm generating some of my own personal interest. I didn't have to go to AmFest where we met for the first time finally. I didn't have to go to that, but I was like, oh, let's go check it out. And growing up, my dad's pretty into all this stuff. And I would actually be like, Dad, some point in time, you got to turn off Fox News. Some point in time, you got to turn it off.
Did it ever happen?
He actually did. He did because he just kept getting so jaded and angry all the time. Yeah. And so he's like, I promise, this is just the local unbiased news. This is just, just local Indianapolis news. So there's a background of my family being interested. And I was probably the last one to the party.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're sort of aware of what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. More conservative than me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you felt something inside you change.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good time to care. I've never even voted.
Good for you.
I'm not registered. I've never voted. And my argument against it was that I'm not going to complain about it. If I complain, I have to do my part. But if I don't, and I never did. I was like, I have my choices and preferences, but hey, what's happening is what's happening. And
It's just interesting that changed. I mean, by the way, I'm not criticizing that approach.
Why do you think, what's the best reason? What about it is curious?
Because the world that we grew up in is disappearing really fast. Mm-hmm. And if you liked it, it's worth preserving. And so people who didn't want to be involved, not inherently interested in it, are like, wait a second, I liked that country. And what is this? This is crazy. This is out of control. You have to say something, right?
I think that's pretty much where it got to, was it's one thing for people to be able to live how they want to live and operate. It's another thing when what they're doing is now finally affecting you.
That's way up in your face.
So the things that for me, it's you can't say what you want to say anymore. You get in trouble for having an opinion. I got in trouble for going to AmFest and saying that I love this country. People were like, I hate you, you're awful, unfollow. And I'm like, how did we get to this point where you can't say I love this country?
Yes.
Where I feel you see chemtrails all over the sky and they're poisoning our air, they poison our food. And I'm like, this is really affecting me now.
Yes. Thanks for watching. You can go to tuckercarlson.com for our entire library of everything we've done, and we hope you will.